7. Muscle car mistakes that are quietly killing your V8. You think your decades of garage experience make you immune to rookie mistakes? You believe you are protecting your classic V8 better than anyone else. You are dead wrong. Why? You cannot blame defective aftermarket metallurgy or incompetent machining this time. Detroit engineers didn't design weak slabs of iron. They designed highly balanced mechanical ecosystems. The hard truth is, you didn't build a bad engine. You unknowingly broke its precise synchronization. Right now, most vintage V8s are being quietly assassinated by 7 universally accepted garage habits that relentlessly destroy this delicate balance. Before we expose these 7 fatal mistakes, hit the like button, share this with a buddy whose classic is collecting dust on jack stands, and leave a comment. What really killed your last engine build? The greatest garage myth is that vintage V8s are indestructible slabs of iron. This lie started in 1970. Detroit executives fabricated ratings, claiming the Chevy LS6 made 450 horsepower and the Hemi 425 to evade insurance blacklists and federal scrutiny. In reality, an unrestricted LS6 pushed near 550 horsepower. Handling that power reveals a terrifying truth. These blocks are physically robust, but chemically fragile. Before habit number 7, pause and smell your engine's oil dipstick. If it smells like raw gasoline, your chemical synchronization is already dead. Shutting off a high-performance engine after a heavy canyon run and walking away is a deeply ingrained garage habit. In 1970, it worked. Vintage leaded gasoline possessed a high initial boiling point, allowing those massive cast-iron manifolds to radiate heat safely. But you are running 1970s hardware on a modern chemical reality. Today's E10 pump gasoline has a shockingly low initial boiling point of a mere 130 degrees Fahrenheit. When your mechanical fan stops spinning, under hood, temperatures violently spike. The latent heat transfers directly from the iron intake into the carburetor bowls. The modern fuel cannot survive this load, it violently boils. This thermal desynchronization triggers percolation. The expanding vapor forces raw, liquid gasoline to erupt through the boosters and dump straight down into the intake plenum. As the block cools, this concentrated solvent pools inside the cylinders. On your next cold start, you aren't firing on lubrication. That raw fuel has washed the protective hydrodynamic oil film completely off the cylinder walls. This creates a catastrophic condition known as cylinder washdown. The unlubricated piston rings drag dry against the iron, physically peeling the microscopic metal peaks over into the valleys. Your cylinder walls turn a dark gray, permanently burnished and ruined. You didn't break apart, you shattered the engine's thermal balance. If you thought boiling your fuel was bad, wait until you turn the key. Blipping the throttle on a cold morning to clear the engine's throat is a revered garage ritual. It is actually a mechanical death sentence. Unlike modern roller cams, vintage flat tappet lifters slide directly against cam lobes. Aggressively revving a cold block forces bone-dry metal against 300 pounds of static valve spring pressure before the oil pump can establish a hydraulic wedge. You assume modern oil protects you? It doesn't. EPA mandates slashed extreme pressure ZDDP additives to protect catalytic converters. Here is the terrifying realization: zinc phosphate is not a lubricant until it gets hot. Only at operating temperatures does it react to form a sacrificial phosphate glass shield. By demanding high RPM action before thermal synchronization, you aren't warming up the engine, you are chemically stripping the metal bare, wiping your camshaft in under 5,000 miles. You will gladly spend thousands of dollars on modern aluminum cylinder heads and massive carburetors, only to rely on a 50-year-old, unrebuilt factory distributor. This is the silent assassin of your synchronization system. Over decades of rotational friction, the bronze bushings supporting that main shaft wear hollow. Here is the striking mathematical reality that garage lore ignores: a distributor shaft vibrating with a seemingly negligible play of just 10,000ths of an inch translates into a massive 4 to 5 degrees of timing scatter at the crankshaft due to gear multiplication. Your spark delivery is now completely desynchronized from the piston's stroke. Under heavy load, your ignition timing jumps erratically, triggering severe, high RPM detonation. And here is the trap: because your solid lifter valve train and free-flowing exhaust are incredibly loud, you will never hear the fatal pinging. You won't realize you are out of sync until that violent cylinder pressure microfractures your piston ring lands. Purists will gladly spend a fortune building a 500 horsepower engine, only to suffocate it with a factory single snorkel air cleaner just to maintain that pristine stock look. They believe it's an optimized cold air intake. That is a historical myth. The truth: muscle cars weren't just killed by emissions, they were hunted by noise regulations first. Influenced by the 1968 Aircraft Noise Abatement Act, the federal government imposed strict pass by decibel limits on street vehicles. To pass these tests, Detroit engineers were forced into a mechanical compromise. They designed those long, narrow snorkels not to maximize airflow, but to act as acoustic silencers, specifically engineered to muffle the deafening roar of the carburetor at wide-open throttle. When you force a heavily modified V8 to breathe through a government-mandated acoustic muffler, you violently starve it of oxygen at high RPMs. This artificial restriction completely desynchronizes the air-to-fuel ratio, leaving massive amounts of unburnt fuel in the combustion chamber. You aren't preserving history, you are preserving a regulatory chokehold. A classic garage mistake is installing heavy tension springs on a 4-barrel carburetor's vacuum secondaries. The myth? Delaying their opening saves gas during aggressive cruising. The fluid dynamic reality is much darker. The primary circuit handles cruising, but under heavy engine load, the V8 demands massive atmospheric flow. By artificially delaying the secondary opening, the mechanical movement of the throttle blades becomes utterly desynchronized from the engine's actual vacuum demand. When you demand heavy acceleration, the engine pulls massive amounts of air, but the delayed secondaries fail to deliver the corresponding fuel. The engine experiences a violent, instantaneous lean-out condition exactly when it is under maximum load. This lean spike causes combustion chamber temperatures to skyrocket. You aren't saving gas, you are literally melting piston crowns and burning exhaust valves. There is an archaic piece of garage lore that refuses to die: the belief that the smell of raw fuel burning out the tailpipe means the engine is making big power. In reality, this fat tune triggers chemical warfare inside your block. When an engine runs excessively rich, the raw, unatomized fuel droplets cannot be burned. Instead, they condense on the cylinder walls and slip past the piston rings directly into the oil pan, creating a condition known as fuel wash. Remember the dipstick smell test from earlier? This is the culprit. As raw gasoline mixes with the engine oil, catastrophic chemical desynchronization occurs. That heavy 20W50 racing oil you bought to protect the crankshaft is chemically sheared and diluted down to the consistency of a watery 5W20 oil. The hydrodynamic oil wedge collapses under the explosive force of the V8's combustion stroke. The connecting rods make direct metal-to-metal contact with the crankshaft, guaranteeing a spun bearing and catastrophic engine seizure. We have reached the most revered, yet destructive tuning technique in automotive history, advancing the distributor timing until you hear the engine ping under load, and then backing it off 2 degrees. In the 1960s, running heavily leaded fuel, that garage lore worked. But today, the chemical composition, flame front propagation, and burn rate of modern oxygenated unleaded fuel are radically different from the highly leaded, high-octane fuels of the 1960s. If you are tuning purely by ear, and you actually hear the audible rattle of pinging, you are not finding the edge of performance, you are actively destroying the engine. That sound is the acoustic signature of colliding flame fronts violently hammering the piston. By the time that sound reaches your ears, the violent cylinder pressure is already inevitably microfracturing the aluminum ringlands. By tuning without reading actual cylinder pressure data, the builder commits the ultimate synchronization failure. You aren't tuning an engine, you are blindly detonating it. While you blindly throw thousands at bigger carburetors, you ignore the solution that defined muscle car history. Enter Bill Grumpy Jenkins. At the 1970 NHRA Winter Nationals, this engineer faced a fleet of factory-backed Chrysler 426 Hemis. He didn't win by bolting on bigger parts. He won because he mastered the system you are breaking, absolute synchronization. While rivals relied on out-of-the-box setups, Jenkins spent hundreds of hours on a Sun Distributor tester. He meticulously recurved his centrifugal advance weights, custom mapping his ignition to perfectly match his carburetor's precise fuel signal. He never tuned by feel. He aligned spark, fuel, and airflow into one flawless event, ensuring ignition at maximum cylinder fill. But he didn't just build an engine, he orchestrated a thermodynamic ecosystem and obliterated the competition. Wiped cams and spun bearings aren't bad luck. They are inevitable symptoms of a desynchronized ecosystem. Combining modern oxygenated fuels with archaic tuning habits creates a chain reaction of failure. Every cold rev or ear tune silently compounds damage until the entire mechanical system violently collapses. It is time to abandon the garage lore. Classic muscle cars didn't lose their power over the decades, they lost their harmony. In the 1960s and 70s, Detroit engineers handed us highly precise thermodynamic instruments. But over 50 years, we systematically replaced that engineering precision with bad habits and blind guesswork. You aren't just modifying a piece of cast iron, you are restoring its mechanical synchronization. Until you respect the balance, your engine will remain a ticking time bomb. Stop breaking your engine. Restore the balance. Subscribe for more deep dive mechanics. Share this with a buddy who tunes by ear. And comment, which habit is killing your V8 today?